Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, sitting down to talk about a series near and dear to my heart, and it seems to be one that we have a New Year's tradition for, certainly, because it seems at the start of every year we talk about Knights of the Old Republic. And last time we sat down to do this, it was in a much more positive area, as we talked about everything we knew so far about the KOTOR remake. Of course, as we know, and what will be relevant in today's video, is that Aspyr is no longer working on the KOTOR remake, so who knows how reliable any of that information is. Today we are talking about Aspyr Media, who has kind of become the shepherds of the older Star Wars video games, bringing them to modern consoles. Star Wars Republic Commando, Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, even KOTOR 1 and 2 have all come to modern consoles thanks to the work of Aspyr. And personally, as someone who grew up playing all these games, I appreciate it beyond words. Their latest port to modern consoles was Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, one of my very favorite games of all time. Now, as the months have gone on since the game was announced and subsequently released on Nintendo Switch, there's been a lot of drama picking up surrounding it, and I've kept my eye on it, trying to be patient and understanding with the situation. But now that we're in 2023, whatever is happening with this game is unacceptable. It is a port of a very old RPG, and the amount of complications that they're experiencing here, I can't even imagine what's happening within Aspyr. But today I'm here to bring awareness to a complete lack of delivery of promised content for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 on Nintendo Switch. We're gonna get into it in today's video, so if you're new here and you're into Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, videos aren't frequent on them, but when anything is around for us to talk about it, we'll be on top of it. Consider subscribing. With that, let's begin with a little background information. Like I said, Aspyr are the shepherds of the older Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic content. This even goes back to PC in 2015, where KOTOR 2 got a surprise update adding Steam Workshop. It had 4K support, it had controller support, it had achievements. It was absolutely incredible. And even after the fact, Aspyr would continue to patch the game, adding a host of bug fixes to the title, something that vanilla KOTOR 2 desperately needed. But perhaps the best part of all of this was, the mod workshop that was added via Steam. With a single click of the button, you could get the most vital KOTOR 2 mod that I would say is mandatory for any playthroughs, and that is the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Sith Lords Restored Content Modification. This is a mod that, well, let's go into Aspyr's own words on what it does. They write on their official website, it adds the new HK Manufacturing Plant mission, where you can play as HK-47 and explore a mysterious HK Manufacturing plant beneath the Telos military base. There is a revamped ending, experiencing the final level in a new way with greater interactions from your party members and added focus on your past choices, as well as livelier crew conversations, getting to know your crew on board the Ebon Hawk even better with additional lines of dialogue and interactions, and bonus quests and challenges, discovering even more quests and combat encounters scattered on various planets around the galaxy for an extra challenge. This again is mandatory. Like, if you are playing KOTOR 2, you need to have this mod, because the best part about KOTOR 2, in my opinion, is the morally gray characters that are polluting this entire game. It's completely in contrast to everything you see in KOTOR 1, which can be a very dark video game, but for the most part, you're kind of seeing a more uplifting tone throughout the game. Whereas KOTOR 2, 5 years after Knights of the Old Republic 1, pretty much the galaxy is in disarray now. It has a much darker tone, and its characters are equally questionable. When you miss out on that, you're missing out on the thing that most people love about the game. So what Aspyr promised to do when they announced that they were porting Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 was to go above and beyond and bring this restored content mod to consoles, specifically the Nintendo Switch, for free. This was incredibly exciting because previously this was only accessible on PC. Now, I know it's not saying too much to many folks. We're talking about a 2004 RPG. A lot of PCs nowadays can run this, and especially again with Steam Workshop, it is literally one click of the button. There's no, for those of you who have modded Bethesda games, going into your data folder, dragging and dropping files, none of that. You click subscribe, it's automatically added to your game. That is it. So I know it's a lot more easy to access compared to years before 2015, and many who were curious probably have the technology to access it. But for those who only have a Switch, can't afford a gaming PC, etc., this was exciting. And it was also exciting because Aspyr has had a history of bringing these back-compat games to other platforms afterwards. PlayStation fans might finally be able to experience the restored content mod. And honestly, even though Xbox is pretty strict on their back-compat, when it comes to new content here, it may have even justified them listing this game on the storefront, and that's pretty exciting. So honestly, the idea of this being officially enrolled into the game was cool and frankly historic, right? I mean, we're talking about a mod that was so impactful, restored so much content, and was so beloved that it had to be a part of the core experience. So Aspyr was making the right choice here, and we figured if they were going to commit to it, that they would deliver. So speaking of delivery, here's what they write on their official website. When will this DLC be available? The DLC will be released in Q3 2022. You can click the follow button at the top of this article to be notified once we announce the official release date. And I'm sure you can guess now where we're going with this conversation. Yep, nothing. There has been no delivery, no update, nothing at all from Aspyr Media. And this is highly questionable. And I have some theories on what's happening here. I know a lot of people look to me for inside information with Aspyr Media, but the truth is, when the KOTOR remake got moved from Aspyr to Saber Interactive, my sources went cold there. I imagine they were probably even removed from the company. Who knows? I truly never knew who they were. I just knew they worked at Aspyr. So I have about as much insight as you. I'm as in the dark as you. So just remember, this is speculation by me. I think I need to make it clear because I did have good sources within this company. But I would imagine what has happened here is largely connected to the KOTOR remake in some way, because all this was really happening at once. You see, it's funny how it went. Originally, we were hearing how Embracer was feeling pretty confident about what was happening with KOTOR remake and that we wouldn't have to wait too long to see an update for this game. In fact, borderline promising gameplay soon. That was so tremendously exciting. And based off what I was told, there was a lot of confidence within Aspyr at what they had been making. Now, as we know, based off reports from Bloomberg, Aspyr showed their game to PlayStation and Disney, and they disliked it so much that they tore the company up, fired a handful of people, and removed the project from Aspyr, bringing it all the way over to Saber Interactive, which I think is a very talented team, but certainly isn't at the top of my list for a team to handle my beloved KOTOR remake that I've been asking for years. So my theory here is that when Aspyr was removed from the KOTOR remake, that all of their projects were kind of put into limbo here. Even something like porting DLC, a mod specifically, into the Nintendo Switch version of KOTOR 2. I feel like they may have lost all trust from Disney, from PlayStation, but specifically Disney. I don't know what happened there, because again, I've said it before in videos, I saw parts of the game. As a diehard fan, I liked what I saw a lot. So I was also equally surprised by the feedback here from Disney, but it's possible that they went, no, you can never touch Star Wars again, because the timing is just too fishy to me. That when they get booted off the project, that here we have KOTOR 2 also being in stasis, but more importantly is no single update. And this game has been loaded with issues since Aspyr had brought it out. You may have forgotten this one, but KOTOR 2 on Switch had a game-breaking bug. A brand new game-breaking bug. Now, bugs, well, they're no stranger to KOTOR 2. Again, that's why the restored content mod is so wonderful, because that game is buggy. It was made in like a year or so. Like, it is a short development time. They really put this one together quickly. It's Obsidian doing Obsidian things right. For those who don't know, the original developers, they pretty much pulled a full-on Fallout New Vegas, just putting together what I think in some ways is a superior project to the original in a short span of time. But because it was a short span of time, yeah, they didn't have much time to play test, and a lot of content was cut from the game. And so much of it that is there is buggy. And so this was a brand new bug that didn't let you finish the game. Pretty problematic, I'd have to say. And Aspyr was on top of this, communicating, patching it out, but it took a lot of fan outcry. Now, I thought a similar thing was going to happen here. Hey, you haven't delivered the KOTOR 2 DLC. You know what's going on? Fans have made noise about this. And I've waited because, honestly, Aspyr has shown the willingness to respond. And despite what happened with KOTOR Remake, they do care about the old Star Wars games. But their silence here, again, to me is fishy, and I have to wonder if they are kind of bound legally somewhere on this one. Because it doesn't make sense why they would go complete silence on this around the same time as them getting booted off of the KOTOR Remake. However, I find it greatly disappointing, and the main goal of this video is to signal boost the fan outcry. There should be some type of update. If it's delayed, we'll understand that, especially because we're talking about a mod that is being brought into an official project. Maybe it's a little more complex than anticipated. Certainly, again, I think fans would be willing to understand it's a free update. But now it's time for delivery of information more than the product itself. It's time to let fans know, like, hey, it's the new year now. You said Q3 2022. It's the new year now, Q1 2023. What is going on at Aspyr? Why haven't we received an update for KOTOR 2's restored content mod? And it's greatly frustrating because for me, it puts KOTOR 2, that's funny, I mentioned gray characters, but it puts it in that gray area of recommendation because I had a patron reach out to me and say like, hey, I'm about 18 hours into KOTOR 2 and I just found out about the restored content mod. Should I restart the game? And I'm like, honestly, you know, if you don't have the time, then I guess don't bother. But if you do, yeah, like it's that important, I would say, because you get these miscellaneous conversations, crewmates interacting, you get deep dives into these characters, and their loyalty missions are fantastic. I mean, KOTOR 2 is a masterfully written RPG. Missing out on any of the writing does the game a great disservice. I mean, it is insane what has been put into this game, and especially in the stretch of time is just insane to me as well. So when you miss out on that, you're missing out on what makes the game special. There are still great moments in the vanilla project, but the idea of finally making that restored content mod official content is long overdue and exciting, and it makes it hard to tell people to go buy KOTOR 2. And if you remember with my KOTOR 2 review, with all the bugs, all the problems, and us waiting for that free DLC, I didn't recommend people buy it. I didn't. I sat there, I was like, I don't know, there's just a lot of problems here with this game. And that's really sad for me to say, because you all know how I feel about this series. This is my heart and soul. This is my biggest inspiration as a video game writer. Like, I love what these games stand for. It's tough for me to come out and be like, hey, this ain't acceptable and you can't buy it. But to not only do that, but then fail to deliver the DLC that will fix that very problem. It's stunning to me. Especially for what seemed like a simple slam dunk here. Like, this is in their wheelhouse. They do ports, they do updates to these older games. That's why, again, I just have this feeling deep in my gut, and it's just a feeling that this has something to do with them getting booted off of the KOTOR remake, and that they may not be able to work on this any further, or they're working something out with Disney. That's just where my head goes. But I want this thing to come to all platforms. I want to get the platinum trophy for it, or the 100% achievements, whichever. I don't care. I want to fully indulge in some KOTOR goodness, because the thing that's important with this and why we need to have this delivered is we're talking about how many more years till KOTOR remake now? You know, the project's probably getting rebooted now. It's a new developer inheriting a vision. Are they really going to continue that? Depends how much a company wants to invest, that company being Embracer and Disney. And I don't know, I just don't see them taking the keys to that castle and running with it. I see them probably restarting to some extent. And if they're going to restart them, that timeline gets moved back severely. So then it's, you need the originals there. It's already important that they should be available on all platforms. I mean, KOTOR 2 still only on Switch. I don't get this only Switch KOTOR wave, but it is what it is. You can play them on back compat with Xbox, but I just think the ports, given the widescreen support, the slightly up-resed visuals, I like it a little bit more on Switch, but I digress, ladies and gentlemen. It's something that's greatly disappointing, and the whole goal of this video is just to vent a little bit, but also signal boost. So we'll see what Aspyr does in the meantime here, but it's very shady what's going on and definitely unacceptable. So ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about what's going on with KOTOR 2 and the restored content mod that is still missing in the Nintendo Switch version. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.